Bible super production.
In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was without form or shape, with darkness over the abyss, and a mighty wind sweeping over the waters. Then God said,
"Let there be light."
And there was light.
And coming to her, he said,
"Hail, favored one, the Lord is with you."
But she was greatly troubled at what was said and pondered what sort of greeting this might be. Then the angel said to her,
"Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. Behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you shall name him Jesus."
He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was hungry. The tempter approached and said to him,
"If you are the Son of God, command that these stones become loaves of bread."
He said in reply,
"It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes forth from the mouth of God."
Higher and higher on the earth, the waters swelled until all the highest mountains under the heavens were submerged. The waters swelled 15 cubits higher than the submerged mountains. All creatures that moved on earth perished. Birds, tame animals, wild animals, and all that teemed on the earth, as well as all humankind.
On the next day, when the great crowd that had come to the feast heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, they took palm branches and went out to meet him and cried out,
"Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, even the King of Israel."
When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. Next, he bound his son Isaac and put him on top of the wood on the altar. Then Abraham reached out and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven,
Abraham,
"Here I am."
He answered,
do not lay your hand on the boy.
He got into a boat and his disciples followed him. Suddenly, a violent storm came up on the sea, so that the boat was being swamped by waves, but he was asleep. They came and woke him, saying,
"Lord, save us! We are perishing!"
He said to them,
"Why are you terrified, O you of little faith?"
Then he got up, rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was great calm. The men were amazed and said,
"What sort of man is this, whom even the winds and the sea obey?"
As the horns blew, the people began to shout. When they heard the sound of the horn, they raised a tremendous shout. The wall collapsed, and the people attacked the city straight ahead and took it. They observed the ban by putting to the sword all living creatures in the city, men and women, young and old, as well as oxen, sheep, and donkeys.
The Lord is my shepherd. There is nothing I lack. In green pastures he makes me lie down. To still waters he leads me. He restores my soul. He guides me along right paths for the sake of his name. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me.
Jonah responded,
Pick me up and hurl me into the sea, and then the sea will calm down for you. For I know that this great storm has come upon you because of me.
Still, the men rowed hard to return to dry land, but they could not, for the sea grew more and more stormy. Then they cried to the Lord,
Please, O Lord, do not let us perish for taking this man's life. Do not charge us with shedding innocent blood, for you, Lord, have accomplished what you desired.
Then they picked up Jonah and hurled him into the sea. And the sea stopped raging.
When Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus out and seated him on the judge's bench in the place called Stone Pavement, in Hebrew, Gabbatha. It was preparation day for Passover, and it was about noon. And he said to the Jews,
Behold, your king!
They cried out,
Take him away! Take him away! Crucify him!
Pilate said to them,
Shall I crucify your king?
The chief priests answered,
We have no king but Caesar!
Then he handed him over to them to be crucified.
When he broke open the second seal, I heard the second living creature cry out,
Come forward.
Another horse came out, a red one. Its rider was given power to take peace away from the earth, so that people would slaughter one another. And he was given a huge sword. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord drove back the sea with a strong east wind all night long, and turned the sea into dry ground. The waters were split, so that the Israelites entered into the midst of sea on dry land, with the water as a wall to their right and to their left. The Egyptians followed in pursuit after them, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen, into the midst of the sea. But during the watch, just before dawn, the Lord looked down from a column of fiery cloud upon the Egyptian army and threw it into a panic. And he so clogged their chariot wheels that they could drive only with difficulty. With that, the Egyptians said,
Let us flee from Israel, because the Lord is fighting for them against Egypt.
All this multitude too shall learn that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves. For the battle belongs to the Lord, who shall deliver you into our hands.
The Philistine then moved to meet David at close quarters, while David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. David put his hand into the bag and took out a stone, hurled it with the sling, and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone embedded itself in his brow, and he fell on his face to the ground. Thus, David triumphed over the Philistine with sling and stone. Then the angel showed me the river of life-giving water, sparkling like crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb down the middle of its street. On either side of the river grew the tree of life that produces fruit 12 times a year, once each month. The leaves of the trees serve as medicine for the nations. Nothing accursed will be found there anymore.
The Audio Bible Super Production.